What's going on, guys? Raven Teacher in the house, and welcome to a spoiler-free, honest review of our Pokemon Scarlet Violet DLC 1, the Teal Mask. You can see some footage on the screen right now. It's literally right at the very start of the game. I'll not be spoiling anything regarding the story or anything like that in this review, but we're going to talk about my thoughts on it. Lots of people have asked me what I think of it. Is it worth getting? Was it worth the wait? And we'll go through the good things about it and the potential missed opportunities throughout this video. Of course, if you like this video at any point in time, make sure to show support by leaving a like and subscribe, and comment down below what your favorite part about the DLC is down below. I would very much appreciate it. But without any further ado, let's get started. So, right at the very start of the game, we get a very important bit of information that actually Blueberry Academy is actually based in the Unova region, which is already a fascinating bit of information. Is this a nod to potential Gen 5 coming next? Maybe. We could see some remakes coming forward. We might see a Legends Kyurem game or anything like that. Would be interesting to see. But, right at the very start of the game, we get introduced to the character Briar. You can see her on the screen right now. She is kind of your chaperone, your travel guide, if you like. And right at the very start, we kind of see one fundamental issue, and that is the characters that are joining us on the adventure are basically three random characters. They're just random NPCs. They don't really have anything going for them. Here they are on the screen, as you can see them. These don't really offer anything to the actual story itself, which is a bit of a shame. This meant, honestly, I would have liked to have seen, even at the very least, Nemona coming. I felt like this would have been a better opportunity to me. There could have been a lot of really fascinating interactions between Nemona and, of course, the rival characters that we meet in the game, Kieran and Carmine, which actually, while we're on the topic of Kieran and Carmine, these were two interesting characters. I felt like they were developed relatively well. I didn't like Carmine at first. I thought Carmine was a bit of a dick, so I wasn't too convinced by her character, but I did like how they ended her up at the end of the story. Kieran was a fascinating character. I definitely felt like almost shades of Wally from him, but even he, I didn't get to like too much until at the very end, but I do think they were handled quite well. I think the actual story itself was super fascinating, but I think the highlight really was how they handled Ogopon. Ogopon's story is brilliant. Ogopon's got bags of personality when you take Ogopon around with you. It's really interesting to watch, and it's just fascinating to go through. The story is brilliantly done. It's a very simple anime trope. There's nothing too, like, special about it, but I did think the relationship between Ogopon and the Loyal Three was probably the best handled I've seen Game Freak do a storyline. So I think, honestly, the story was probably the best part in most cases. I think we could definitely see a lot of potential between both of them. Those are the main sort of talking points in some respects, but I think the one thing I do want to talk about is the map itself. The map has some very interesting parts to it. It's not super substantial. As you're sort of traveling around, it does feel like you're seeing a lot of the same Pokemon, and that's mainly because a lot of the common Pokemon are all around the area. The map's not super big, there's not too much diversity in the biomes itself, but that's kind of what you expect from the DLC. If we think back to the Isle of Armor, it was literally a very, very small island. There wasn't that much there. We kind of get the same with that here. And one of the issues I find is that the map isn't all that impressive to me. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more, even just diversity, just to have it feel like there should be more Pokemon available. One thing I did love, and we're about to actually see this on the screen right now, is that my mascot's right at the very, very start of the DLC, which made me extremely happy. This was definitely something that I was grateful for. Obviously, always gotta have your mascots, man. But that's a personal positive for me. Obviously, if you're not a fan of Ribombee, then why are you watching my videos? But nah, obviously, all jokes aside. But it was nice to see it. Obviously, a lot of people were trolling me with this, sort of jokingly saying that Ribombee was in the game. I thought they were trolling me at first, but it actually turns out they were telling the truth, which was nice. This does sort of lead me on to the decks. There's 200 Pokemon in the Kitakami decks, which is a decent amount, to be honest. It was pretty impressive. However, most of the Pokemon that were in the Kitakami decks were actually already in the Paldea region, which kind of meant that there wasn't actually that many Pokemon that were purely returning. Which, you know, in some respects, kind of felt a little disappointing. But at the same time, it's like, I can understand it. They're obviously not going to be able to bring the full decks back or anything like that. You know, sorry, bring back National Dexers, but it's just not going to happen at this point. But we did get 200 more Pokemon from the 400. We got 400 in the main game, so that's an okay amount. It's passable. It's almost a shame that not too much of it was new stuff. I did really like Poltergeist, though. Poltergeist and Sinistcha. Super interesting Pokemon. I can't wait to actually try Sinistcha out in competitive. I'll definitely do some comp stuff, I think, because I'm super excited about that. One other thing about the Pokemon that spawned in the DLC is it definitely felt very weird to me. Obviously, as you can see on the screen, I bought my level 100 team from the main game because I didn't really know what to expect. But what was really surprising to me was just how high level the non-evolved Pokemon were. And this was also true for the rivals. Excuse me, because the rivals actually were using like relatively high level non-fully evolved Pokemon, but when you fought them multiple times, they obviously evolved over time, which was interesting. But it does beg the question, why are they using not fully evolved Pokemon like from the get-go? Which would make sense if you're playing this like relatively early into your playthrough. But the vast majority of people who are going to be playing the DLC have already been in the main game, so it did feel a little bit weird. At the same time, I guess you could make the argument of, well, if they were fully evolved from the start, you'd have to breed them, which would take time. Personally, that's not a gripe of mine. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. But yeah, in general, I thought the returning Pokemon was not as much as I would have liked. And also the levels were a little bit weird. But that being said, though, it was nice to see quite a few Pokemon coming back. Excuse me, sorry, for those who are wondering, I've got a really bad cough at the moment. So I'm drinking plenty of water while we're at it. But yeah, the map was not particularly big. The Pokemon were interesting, kind of weirdly high leveled. As you can see, there's a 57 Spinarak on the screen right now as an example. The story was pretty well handled. I felt like the story was fine. Ogopon was definitely a highlight for me. But as DLCs go, this one wasn't bad, but I am hopeful that in the Indigo Disc we get a bit more substantial content, because I was pretty much done with this content within sort of 6 hours of playtime, and that was even just taking my time over it. I probably could have finished this a lot faster if I really wanted to. So much like the Isle of Armor, it was a little bit lacking. But what we did get, for the most part, was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed the story. I would have loved to have seen at least Nimona come with us throughout this part. I think this would have been a bit more interesting. I think the opportunity to have Nimona and Carmine kind of interact with each other would have been really fascinating to see how that played out. But we didn't get that, unfortunately. Obviously, there is one extra event in there for one Pokemon in, which had an event form of a Pokemon that we all know and love. I'm not going to spoil that for you, but for those who want to know, that's Pokedex number 196 in the region. You just need to talk to Perrin in Mastery Town Center, who's a character that's got a Growlithe. And you just need 150 Pokemon in the Kitakami Dex to be able to initiate that quest. You'll like that quest if you haven't already seen it. I'm not going to spoil it for you for those who haven't played it. Fascinating, interesting. Not my cup of tea, though. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Teal Mask DLC. Let me know what you guys thought of it down below in the comments. I would love to hear from you. But that's going to be it for me. We eagerly, of course, await the Indigo Disc, which will probably happen sometime around Christmas. I would have thought maybe November time. We shall see. But either way, guys, thank you all so much for watching. And as always, stay safe, stay awesome. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.